we're going to jump to Jesus recognizing women's values. See, there was a idea in Judaism where women had this lower place. Over time, it ended up getting to the point where of the Jews and the Greeks and the Romans, the Jews had the most oppressive system to women. It was pretty bad. We have a couple instances where the Judaic system often didn't allow women to speak in public or be acknowledged. And Jesus contradicted that. Boom! We looked at a woman and said, do you see this woman? Acknowledge her. Completely against the status quo. And then he also recognizes a woman in Mark 14. He says, wherever this gospel is preached throughout the world, what she has done will also be told in memory of her. He honored women, he honored what they did, he honored their faith, and he acknowledged them. We also see that in Judaic culture, many rabbis did not want to teach a woman. Some places it was forbidden to teach a woman. Rabbi Elazar says, I'd rather burn the Torah than teach it to a woman. They were not, and women, of course, were not allowed to read the Torah if they were even educated enough to do so. But we see in different places of Scripture, women often called Jesus teacher. John 11:28. After she had said this, she went back and called her sister Mary aside and said, the teacher is here and he is asking for you. Not only was he teaching, but he was asking for them. It's also interesting to note that in Matthew 14:21 and other stories where we see the feeding of the 5,000, if you read, it says there were about 5,000 men fed that day. In addition, there were women and children. Most of the time we read that of, oh, there were women and children too. No. He not only fed them, but he taught them. And that was a big deal because rabbis, for the most part, did not teach women. They were often related as second-class citizens. So it's, instead of reading like, oh, there were 5,000 men and then women and children, it's no, there were 5,000 men and women and children, that God respected them and honored them to the point that he wanted them to be able to hear and receive from Jesus. We also see that it was rare for them to own houses. We see that in John 11:1, Jesus refers to Bethany as the village of Mary and Martha. We also see that the women typically didn't even have a public testimony. It wasn't good in court. It often wasn't valued. A lot of different things were going on. But it was interesting because in Matthew 28, Jesus debunked that because he spoke to the women and said, do not be afraid. Go and tell my brothers to go to Galilee. There they will see me. So it was a testimony of a woman that Jesus entrusted his resurrection story to, the narrative. And then we also see that women often couldn't recite certain prayers in Judaic culture, and we see in Acts that they were all joined together constantly in prayer along with the women and Mary, the mother of Jesus. It's almost like he goes out of his way, and the gospel writers almost go out of their way to emphasize the value of women to God and how they are to be valued and not second-class citizens or oppressed.